Well, hi. This is October the 29th of 2014. My wife went away here, so I'm in the house by myself, which means I can talk to myself now for a little bit and hopefully talk to you. As you can see now, I have my cyborg eyes on. I'm going to take them off so then I don't look like I'm from Mars, okay, because it's the reflection there. That's a little bit better, I think. Um, I was thinking today about how commercialized Christianity has become in the United States of America. Some different examples. I'm reading a book now called Toxic Charity, and you can get it on, I forget the author. You can get it on Amazon Kindle or whatever. And he's talking about how in the effort to help people, we've actually done more harm than good by giving things instead of helping people learn how to earn things. They talk about missions trips. You know, many of our churches, we have short-term missions, and there's some great missionaries. I have some good friends that make trips to Africa and Central America, and they do great things. They teach people. They teach people how to help themselves, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to equip people. But then again, there are this fellow says that the missions has become an industry, and there's actually places who sell missions trips, and they promote them like, your youth will never be the same once they come back from Guatemala or wherever. And I'm not just saying that one place, but it's become a typical Christian business to sell missions trips. So people go and they try to help somebody, and they feel good about themselves, and they come home. And it's really not about the person they're going to help. It's about so they can feel good, And the same thing is true in inner city missions and things that we've done, and we've been involved in stuff like that. You start giving people stuff, and they just expect you to give it to them, instead of teaching them how to earn it, or teaching them how to get a job, or how to live and have some kind of a reasonable job, something that is theirs. We just hand stuff out, and it's turned to be more of a hindrance than a help. That's what this fellow is saying in this book, and I have seen that firsthand. And again, we certainly believe in helping people. We want to assist people, but some people just expect, they know how to play the system. But it's become a business. It's become inner city missions have become organizations. It's become a business. How to raise money, and you wonder if the money is being used to the best to the best advantage. Another example is whenever they were having all the rockets were flying in Israel. Remember when Hamas was shooting missiles into Israel? I don't know if they still are, to the extent that they were. I forget how many hundreds of missiles every day they were shooting in. But there was a fellow with a ministry, quote unquote, to bring Jews and Christians together, and I was getting like 3 or 4 emails a day from this guy trying to raise money. All of these poor Jewish widows are having their houses destroyed by these. If you send $100, we can feed them for a month. I mean, it's the same thing, And I looked up this particular ministry, and I found out that it was not the best place to invest your money, because out of every dollar, much of it went to pay for advertising and TV time and a jet for the owner. Okay, well, I don't know about that. I'm throwing that in, but so anyway, this guy, he really played it up. He said, "Man, here's a good chance for me to make some money." And finally, the third one now, right now at this time, at this day, the Ebola scare, the virus from Africa, this big scare. Now our good buddy Jim Baker, he's getting a lot of mileage out of this, because Jimmy, what he likes to do is he's selling survival food. See, he doesn't believe in rapture, because if he believed in the rapture, he'd have to find another way to make money. So he's found that by selling fear, anytime there's a disaster, or anytime there's a scare or a shooting or like this sickness now, that he plays that up, because if he can scare enough people into thinking, hey, I better stock up, then he can sell more. For $3,000, you can get 7 years of food for two people. And then if it gets to the place where you can't cook it because there's no gas or electricity, he's selling solar generators for, I don't know, 3 or 4,000 bucks. And he has the powder, all the vegetable powder and stuff. And anytime something, they use this, they exploit this, because they like to sell things. And this is an American. I believe this is an American thing here, that we have to make everything a business. We have to sell everything. And in fact, really, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, if you're born again, and your faith and trust is in Jesus Christ, you don't have to live in fear. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars. I remember back, some of you might be old enough to remember Y2K. I can remember that. Man, people were shaking in their boots. People were writing books. Oh yeah, man, Y2K. All the cars are going to stop working, and the planes are going to crash, and you're not going to be able to get your money, and there's going to be martial law all over the world. And I can remember watching on TV. It was New Year's Eve in 1999 to 2000. It was New Year's Eve, and there was a guy over in New Zealand, which was like the first place to have like the New Year. New Zealand, or an island in the Pacific, one of the Polynesian islands, and he like 1 minute after midnight, he put his debit card in an ATM, and he took out some money. So it worked. But they play on this fear because it sells books, and it sells survivalist food, and it sells all this junk. Save your money. It's sad, Peter said that they would make merchandise of you, and they're doing it. So, pray and trust God. Nothing wrong, to have a few things set aside. I'm not, that can happen. Anything can happen anytime. But to go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, nothing wrong with going on missions trips. That's great, as long as you're doing it for the right reason. Nothing wrong with supporting ministry in Israel, as long as they're preaching the gospel. If they're just like taking money, for Jewish widows, whatever, what your money isn't worth it. If they're preaching the gospel, these things can be good if they're done right. That's why we need to be discerning about this kind of stuff, So okay, I said what I had to say. Very seriously, if your faith and trust is in Christ, you don't have to be afraid. And if you're watching this and you don't believe in Jesus, I strongly urge you, because while we may never go through a tribulation here, we don't know when Christ is coming back. One thing I do know is you're going to die someday, and I'm going to die someday. I don't know when. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not for another 50 years. I don't know. Maybe I won't die. Maybe I'll go up in the rapture. I don't know. But I know this much, that when we cross over into eternity, if your faith and trust isn't in Jesus Christ, you end up spending it in a far, far worse place than this. Eternity without parole. And no amount of survivalist food or gear, no amount of money that you've spent, no amount of anything will be able to bring you out of that darkness and blackness in the lake of fire. So I encourage you to put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, and look to Him. He'll show you who He is, as He did with me. So okay, I'm going to put my square eyeballs back on now, because I'm done being serious. So there, how's that? Okay, there you go. Twilight Zone. God bless you. Have a great day, and trust in Jesus.